What's going on, everybody? It's David Piatek and Dwayne. I got a video for that Kimball. Don't call it a comeback. We've been here the whole time answering questions for the veteran community. Today we're gonna once again talk about VA home loans and VA disability compensation. Again, David Piatek with VA Housing Education. I am a director of government lending at a bank. So also an Army veteran myself, so I could speak a lot to what goes on with VA home loans and answer a lot of you guys' questions. And then I got my partner in crime, Dwayne.
Hey, good afternoon, David, or good evening. I'm on East Coast time. Pleasure being here. Excited to get to these questions and get this ball rolling. Hopefully, we might be able to get through all the questions today, but we'll see. So we're going to kick it off. I know Dave and I we've been talking about this whole realtor thing, and suing, and you know when veterans do a VA home loan, do they have to pay the realtor or the buyer's realtor if they're selling, et cetera, et cetera? So, Dave, what is the latest on that as it pertains to that? Did the lawsuit go through, or is it overturned? Where are veterans at with that right now?
Well, man, it is about to get real for the
Oh,
veteran community around purchasing a property. So I know we've talked about this before, and I want to mention again because it is so important. And I'm talking with veterans day in, day out. They're making decisions, and they're like, wait a second, I didn't realize like that's what was about to happen. So the National Association of Realtors and like the top 5 real estate brokerages got sued by consumers, basically saying like they're inflating real estate prices because sellers were offering a co-op fee, basically like paying a buyer's agent a real estate fee for bringing them a client, basically saying they inflated the market. So as of a couple months ago, they lost the lawsuit on August 17th, right? So a month from today, across all national multiple listing services, they're not going to show what the co-op fees are, basically what a buyer's agent would make. Okay, so now they have to manually call everybody because one of the reasons they said that this they don't want to put it in there is so realtors wouldn't steer clients to properties that had higher commissions. But at the
oh,
end of the day, it's like, you know, you don't want if you're not I don't know how that really happens because if I don't like a house, guess what? I mean, not me. If my wife doesn't like the house, guess what? We're not buying it. I may like it, but we're still not buying it. So the thing is that they've taken that piece out. Now, historically, VA loans didn't allow veterans to pay real estate commission fees. So now that has opened up Pandora's box where buyers, as veterans as well, right, are going to be paying those real estate fees moving forward. So I'm going to give you guys a quick example. And then I'm going to share something with you that the VA just came out with, not came out just now, just like a couple weeks ago, that goes into effect August 10th, right? And so for people that are thinking even about buying at some point in the future, this has a big impact for you. So if let's say you negotiate a real estate fee of 3% to pay a buyer's agent and you're buying a $500,000 property, right? Then you would be paying about $15,000 in fees if the other agent didn't offer a co-op, right? That adds to the closing costs for veterans purchasing properties. So let me just quickly share this with you guys, and I'll also drop it in link in the description. So basically, as of June 11th, VA said that yes, veterans can pay these fees now, but they also gave a lot of veterans the out. So I'm going to quickly go through it with you. And then if you guys have questions, please ask. So one part is that uh, listing brokers are prohibited from setting buyer broker compensation through multiple listing services, which that's basically going to be completely gone, right? So they won't be able to come through that. Buyer broker compensation cannot be established by or flow through the listing agent is another one. You can't roll the agent fee into the loan. So that's something that we want to point out. Now you can always ask for a seller credit and then have a higher purchase price. Yeah, that's a one way to do it. Now this is the big catch, I think. Buyer broker charges paid or to be paid by the veteran are to be considered in determining whether the veteran has sufficient liquid assets to close on the loan. So, I asked somebody today, like, what if the veteran just doesn't have the funds? Well, technically they can sue the realtor, could sue the consumer, right, which would be you, because you don't have enough money to pay them. But the VA says in this that if you don't have the money, that it falls on them to be able to confirm that you do have the money or not. So just want to point that out to folks because the landscape is going to be changing significantly. So ask questions as you guys have. Dwayne, do you have any
So
questions on that?
yeah, so if it's not, how does the seller pay the buyer's real estate agent if it's not included in the loan? How do you write a separate check at closing? How does that work?
Well, so that's the thing. So if the seller doesn't offer to pay the buyer's agent, the buyer would have to pay the agent that additional fee,
So the seller could say, I'm not paying your realtor, I'm
right?
paying mine, you can pay yours. We can do it
Yep.
like that. Or you don't
Yep.
okay. All right. Yeah. I like that.
Which it,
I
yeah.
think that's the way it should be, in my opinion.
Right. Yeah, it's a double-edged sword because then, a lot of people have just enough money to buy a property. So, that challenge
Right.
it for home ownership in a competitive market. So, but yeah, definitely drop questions in the description. You guys have questions. And Dwayne, I've been hearing a lot of these what is the vet fest? Cuz I keep seeing this stuff blow up everywhere across my social media.
So I did a vid and Chris is on here and he noticed the name. He's like, I got a video for that. So I just did a video. I just did a video on that. And the misconception, I think it's a good thing. I think it's a good thing, but veterans are thinking, and I don't know if this is clickbait, people are going and then getting on YouTube and say, hey, this is what they're doing under Vet Fest. These are all over the country. So you're not going, all of them are not alike. Don't think because somebody went to a vet fest in Boston, Massachusetts, and they were able to get their claim done that day, and you go to one in Phoenix, Arizona, and expect to get your claim done that day. It could not happen. And I've been telling vets, I did the video, you have the links, make sure you click on that link, call ahead of time, and make sure that the event is still going. I saw an event where they were giving away $25 gift cards and free lunch. Others weren't doing that. Others, some of them canceled. Now, think about it this way. You show up with 1,000 pieces of evidence. Do you think you're going to get that rating done that day? No. If I was rating that day, I wouldn't do it because you're going to miss something. It takes time to go through that information. Okay. But if you showed up with a private DBQ completed, and I can use it per 38 CFR 3.326 subpart B, subpart C, then I would knock it out. Easy. But don't think because, I would never get on YouTube and say, I went to this vet fest. This is what they're doing. Because the vets think they're doing that across the board. Do I think it's good? Yes. Make sure you watch that video, you click on the link, you contact the individual saying, hey, what are you doing? Because I've heard some veterans say, I showed up and they were just taking my claim. That was it. Others showed up. One gentleman say they sat down with a rater for 30 minutes. They went through, they actually did the rating right there on the spot. So depending on which one you go to is going to determine if they're rating that day or if they're not, if they're just taking the claim. But again, call ahead because David, people were like, hey, I'm gonna get on a plane and go to the vet fest here. And I'm like, you might want to wait before you do it because I've also been hearing that they are canceling some of them. So
Oh,
always call ahead. Call ahead. I think it's a good thing overall. It's a good thing. But ask, who are you speaking to? Are you talking to a VSO? If you're talking to a VSO that don't know what they're doing, or are you actually talking to a VA employee?
wow. So yeah, that's crazy that you don't know what you're gonna get when you go there. But so if
Right.
you have a private DBQ, then they can actually rate it, or do you need that?
Well, it depends. That was just an example. I worked at a FDC clinic, fully developed claim clinic, and the veteran would come in, bring the information. We would date stamp it and put it in the system. And then another rater that possibly worked there that particular day would rate that case later, normally within a week. What happened one day, and I talked about this in this video, A Vietnam veteran showed up, really nice guy, had a ponytail, slender guy, real cool. And he came in and he was doing a claim for ischemic heart. He was already service connected. He came through initially, got service connected for ischemic heart disease. I think he was maybe like 10%, a really low rating or something. And he came in and said, "Hey, I got this DBQ and I think I should be 30%." So the DBQ showed 30%, but his treatment at the VA, once I looked at it, showed he should be 60.
Oh, wow.
So he was the only person that came in that day. And I was like, okay, I'm closing at 12. What I'm going to do, when I get back to the regional office, I'm going to have a VSR cessed it. And what I mean by cessed it, they create an EP, an end product number, right? 3-digit number to track the claim. And I said, hey, cess this, and I'm going to rate it before I go home today. So he submitted a claim around 11:30 that morning. 2:00, he had a rating decision.
What was it?
I increased him. I increased him. It was for ischemic heart. I think it was ischemic heart disease.
So did he
It's
get
on a
60 or 30?
60%. He was wanting 30, but after I looked at all the evidence, it took like 10 minutes, and I was like, "Sir, I'm sorry, I can't give you 30." And he was real cool. He was like, "Oh, I thought I was gonna get that 30%." I said, "Yeah, I can't give you 30. I apologize, but I can give you 60." He was like, "What?" And he grabbed his chest. I was like, "Oh, no, I don't want you to have, any heart problems." But he just came with that claim form, the 526EZ, the prescribed claim form, and the DBQ. I looked in the system. Boom. Yep, he's already service connected. Looked at the DBQ, used 38 CFR 3.326 subpart B, subpart C. I knew I didn't need a CMP exam in this case, and I grant the benefits. Simple as that.
That's awesome. That's awesome.
So, they may have people there doing that. But again, if you show up with 1,000 pages of evidence, no. No.
No,
No. That's
nobody
like,
has time for that.
no, come on now. Why would you even do that to begin with, So,
No. Okay,
yeah.
well, let's kick it off to the Q&A, and we start with Dwayne. You?
Yeah. So, Military Mike, the question I have, did you get a copy of your CMP exam? Because if you were diagnosed with sleep apnea on active duty, that's a given. So you got to submit that FOIA request to VBA and get a copy of that exam and see what was the rationale for the negative medical opinion.
Awesome. Thank you. Next
And
one
that's
for you as
before
well.
you do a high level review or anything. Okay. I have a CMP exam next week for majority of my claims. And I was wondering what advice you all had. I'm in the BDD window and have my CMP exam for majority. Okay. So one, when you say majority of the claims, you need to confirm which exams you're showing up for before you show up. Okay. And when you look at those conditions, when they say, okay, you're showing up for migraines, then you want to go to the VA's rating schedule. And this is something I talked about in my monthly veterans membership today on our live event. I was showing members how to go to the VA's rating schedule and look for the diagnostic code. And once you find the diagnostic code, how do you dissect it? Okay. So before I go forward, I put the monthly membership. If you want to sign up for that, I put the information in the
Is this the
comments.
one?
Yeah, that's it. No, that's the webinar. The webinar will educate individuals on the VA claims process next month, August 13th and 14th. They got a coupon code. So there's two separate events there. Okay. So I was showing them how to look at the diagnostic code. So Stephanie, if you claim migraines, do you know the diagnostic code for migraines? It's 8100. And when you get there, do you know the criteria for the 0, 10, 30, and 50%? You have to do that for each condition. Here's why. When you show up, if you feel you should meet the 30%, well, you know what the 30% criteria is. That's what you're talking about on the exam. You're not talking about the 0 or 10%, and you have to do that for each condition. Now, if you had a VSO, I hope your VSO told you, hey, in your personal statement, put that 30% criteria in that personal statement, because if the doctor doesn't give you 30% and they end up giving you 10, then that's an error on the rater, because the rater can use your subjective evidence in your personal statement to grant that 30%. Okay, so you have to go through, confirm all the conditions you're showing up for, and what's the criteria for the diagnostic code that you feel you meet for those conditions.
That's
Whew,
awesome. And
whew.
I know it's a lot of information. And I believe, Dwayne, this is the link for the membership, right? Down here.
Yeah, that's the membership.
Perfect. Yeah, I dropped up a little bit earlier when you were talking. So
Oh, okay.
yeah,
Yep.
cool. Chris, throwing it out there. Notice your name. I got that. I got a video for that. I know that's like the one thing. Even when we did our 12-hour event, I want to remind people 12 hours that we were talking about
Yeah.
home loans, bringing people on, and just going over stuff. And we had questions all the way to the last minute during that. And I think on almost every subject, we were like, we have a video for that. We still explained it. So there's just like go through the channel. And I don't know if you guys know, I was going over it today. If you go in a channel on the right, like where it has like the video, shorts, or whatever, there's a search box in there. If you type in what you're searching for, it'll pull up all the videos that has that information. And if you put quotation marks around what you're talking about, it will link those two words together to be an exact match. So it's actually pretty cool. I was doing that earlier today, and I completely forgot about that because I remember I was hitting up Dwayne, bugging him for no reason when I could have just searched stuff on my own.
Yeah.
but
So,
yeah, so thank you again for that. But yeah,
yeah.
a lot of the videos are there
And
for that. And
actually, I show people how to do that in a live stream I did back when I
now,
first
did you?
started, because they were, I'm like, here's my YouTube channel. Now click on the video link. Now you see this little hourglass over here. Click on that and type in the name, and yeah, the video comes up.
That's awesome. Question here on my end: does the VA help with debt consolidation? That's a great question. So the VA itself does not have a program to help veterans be able to consolidate their debt. To do any type of debt consolidation or getting any type of loan, may be like a personal loan, or it might be a loan against like a vehicle or something like that. You would go to a private institution to do that. Now, if you have a VA home loan currently and you want to refinance and take cash out of the property to consolidate and pay off all your debt, you could 100% do that. But you'd have to own the property. You have to have equity in the property. And I mean, there's a lot of factors that go into it. Still being able to be qualified and eligible for the program. But yeah, that'd be a couple different ways. And there's still a lot of companies out there that do offer the debt consolidation loans. Just what I always recommend tell people is like we always say, get educated around that process. Don't get taken advantage of, because debt consolidation companies, from what I see, charge the highest fees, highest rates, because they know you're in a bad position. Okay. Another way you could always look at different type of debt consolidation stuff that you could do yourself. Like Dave Ramsey talks about a lot of that, like different ways you could pay down debt. And a lot of that too is going to be structured around budgeting and maintaining credit. So then you'll be able to pay for things and also keep a good credit score. Because that's the downside, Dwayne. And for folks out there, is that the lower your credit, the higher the fees and higher the interest rates are. The better your credit, everyone is fighting to give you the least amount of fees, if no fees, and the lowest interest rates, because they know that you're going to make the payment. So that's why a lot of times, I don't think we talk about credit and budgeting. I'm going to pivot a little with my channel and start. We're obviously going to be doing VA home loan stuff, but we're also going to talk about some of the components that go into the housing piece, right? Which is the qualification part, talking about credit, budgeting, what moves should you be making so you can, set yourself for success. So,
And
but
we
that's
still
a
need
great
to,
one.
we still need to do a Zoom on that too. We had
I
talked
know, I
about
know.
that.
I know we do. This one
Yeah.
is
So
for
yeah,
you.
it's for me. Yeah, Brian, I just did a video on that. DBQ scams. Um, it okay. We as veterans, we have to stop thinking just because we serve, we wear a uniform. Everybody out there that's doing anything as it pertains to VA claims, it shouldn't be free. Okay, doctors they work. This is their business. That's how they get paid. Now, what the VA was talking about, I agree with some of the stuff in the article, and I think they were kind of like underlining, trying to steer people away or scare people away from private companies. Because what they were saying, there's private consulting companies out there that have doctors and they're guaranteeing people benefits. A lawyer, claims agent, VSO cannot guarantee you a benefit. A consulting company cannot guarantee you anything. Now, there's a 38 CFR out there, and I keep talking about it. 38 CFR 3.326 subpart B, subpart C. There's another one. I think it's 38 CFR 3.6511, something like that. So one is the 651 and 6511. Chris, I know you know what it is. Put it in the comments. And then the 326. The 326 is for the veteran when they use a private DBQ and they refuse the exam. The other one, the 6511, is not. So now that's giving that rater that's not an advocate for you. They're going to use the one that's not for you, the 6511, but the rater that is an advocate for you is going to use the 3.326. Okay. So if you refuse to go and they deny it because you refuse to go, you could bring that up on a high level review. And guess what? There's another 38 CFR brings up reasonable doubt and equipoise. That happened to me on my last rating, and I was a rater. I was rating at the time, and I was like, no. The rater was like, oh no, you have to go. Well, wait a minute. We got the same training. You have evidence in my file that you can use. Use it per this 38 CFR. And so they didn't know originally that I was a rater. And then when I let the cat out the bag, they were like, oh, snap. He got the same training as I did. So he knows I know I have to use it. And they used it. Okay. Anything else you see on YouTube? Clickbait.
Yeah, and that's the thing. I would have to. I don't know. You could probably speak to this a lot more than I can, but there's always these companies that tell you that they're going to guarantee you disability, but that kind of falls in that fraud piece.
Yep.
And I've seen like some people, some videos of people getting exposed for like defrauding the government for $1 million.
Yeah.
Because they were collecting benefits when they weren't supposed to. So you also have to be careful with that. I mean, have you seen that happen, Dwayne, where people falsify or like they get a DBQ and it's over exaggerated just so they can get the
Yeah.
rating?
Yeah. Yeah. Now, as a rater, I would see like DBQs like very detailed.
Too
Um,
detailed.
yeah, and they were just some doctors. That's just the way they were, Um, but mainly when I looked for was how did the doctor reach that conclusion? Now, there's an M21 manual reference that states private doctors don't have to look at the claims file. The downside to that, a lot of VA employees don't know about the reference. And two, it's a reference, it's not law. Okay, it's just a reference. So I would rather a veteran to have their examiner to look at evidence and have it and not need it, opposed to needing it and not having it. Because if they say they looked at this, and this, that rater is going to say, oh, well, our doctor would have looked at this or looked at that. And then they're going to use something called preponderance of evidence. So it's like a chess game. You just got to be proactive, get educated, understand what you're doing and how the VA claims process can impact that.
Mic drop. Thank you.
Boom.
I have
That
a
was a
question here.
nugget. If you
The
become
nugget.
awarded 100% in the future, would I still be able to benefit from my state's property tax exemption, although I bought a home in 2005? Oh, that's what.
Absolutely. Yeah,
Yeah.
absolutely you can. So
Yeah.
Yeah, and so I'll kind of walk you guys through this. Works in a couple different ways. So as you get your ratings and they get to the point of either getting a tax reduction or being able to eliminate property taxes altogether, you doesn't make a difference when you bought the property. Number one. Number two, you don't have to be on the mortgage of a property in order to get a tax exemption on that property. You just have to be on the title of the property, and it has to be your primary residence. Okay, so we see a lot of that where veterans, let's say, they may have a sibling that might meet the requirement for tax breaks. They live with them. If they put them on title, then they get the property tax breaks. Or you're staying with your parents, you put you on title, they get the break. Vice versa, they qualify, they can go on yours. Now they can only be on one property at a time, so keep that in mind. And also, if you qualify for survival benefits per the state for the tax exemption, keep that in mind as well, because we've met a lot of uh, spouses that didn't realize that they could have filed that exemption. And then every state and county is so different, because, like, in Tampa, right, they go back 3 years, right? So if you forgot to file, they'll give you a refund back 3 years. Other states or other counties won't do that. And always remember that the requirements for the state all vary widely.
Yeah.
Some states require 100% permanent and total and honorable discharge. Okay. Others, I say 100%. So you could be 100% TDIU. So then
Mhm.
you, because some people are like, oh, I'm 100%. Well, I'm 100% TDIU. Well, you don't qualify for the tax exemption. Other times you make too much money, you don't qualify for the tax exemption. Other times property value is too high, you don't qualify for the property tax exemption. And it's based on the county that you're buying in and then the
Yep.
state. Never forget that, because we have people all the time make that mistake. Because if you're up in Dade County, they have like an income requirement in Florida. And so it just changes drastically.
Yeah.
So make sure you do your
Yeah.
homework before you rush into it.
Right. And also what Dave was talking about, that 3 years, it's called something. I can't remember what it's called here in Florida. So let's just say you were granted 100% permanent total, um, July 17th, 2023, right? And you filed an appeal within a year saying that, hey, that effective date is incorrect, and they grant that effective date for that P&T back 3 years.
Right. It's the effective date.
Right. So then you can go back to the county. I know here in Hillsborough County you can do it, but the county just north of us, Pasco, you can't do it. So you go to the county, and I can't remember what that process is called, but it'll take about 6 or 7 months. You give them the paperwork, the same paperwork that you had showing the effective date for the 100% P&T, and then they will give you that money back that you already paid in taxes. And when you get it, Military Mike, send it to me and Dave so we can go down to St. Vincent George SVG down in Bahamas for a week at Sandals.
Yeah, I think that sounds like a good plan. Yeah. And
Yeah,
then just make sure, like, whatever state, if you're thinking about moving, you're active duty or not, like, man, I cannot stress it, because people will make these power moves. Call me, David, I'm heading to the county to record it. I'm like, why are you going to the county? They're like, what do you mean? I got my tax exemption. I'm like, the house is worth too much. And in the county you live in, they don't give you a differential. They just don't give you a property tax exemption. So
so if I bought a house on Star Island in Dade County, Miami, next to Port of Miami, I couldn't get my tax exemption. I couldn't use
I
it,
don't think so.
or could a
I don't think
veteran
so.
could use it? Wow, because you know those houses, property taxes like probably
They're
100K
ridiculous.
a
But
year. Yeah.
some places they're really not, like, they're really good where they don't have no limits. So,
Yeah.
just do your homework is all I'm saying.
Yeah.
Don't listen to friends. Stop doing that.
Yeah.
It's
It's
call the county assessor's office and ask them exactly how it works. Because guess what? Some states, real estate taxes are paid in arrears, meaning you're not getting a tax break for 2 more years. So if you're
yeah.
thinking that's what's going to happen, guess what? It's not.
Yeah.
So it's devastating, because then some people will call and they're in trouble because they're going to foreclosure. They're missing their payments because they thought their taxes were going to kick in sooner. So just be really careful with that. And I'm going to answer two questions here that are kind of similar. So this kind of goes back to what we opened up with. So the cost is incurred by veteran buyers, and brokerage fees incurred by veteran buyer and not able to wrap into the loan. So if the seller is not going to pay your buyer's agent, okay. And another caveat to that I'm going to throw in is that moving forward, if you're working with a realtor as of August 17th, you'll have to sign an agreement with them upfront, upfront
Mm,
for how much you're going to pay them.
wow.
You have to, right? So that's probably like one of the biggest things with this change is because it's like going to a car dealership and you have to sign a contract with the salesman before you're looking at cars. So, and no matter what you do, they're going to be owed a commission. So if you go to another dealership and you buy a car, you still have to pay them, right? So this is the challenge with this, all in all. So veterans are right now signing contracts with agents, depending on where they are. But by the 17th of August, it will be implemented everywhere. And they're saying, I am agreeing to pay 3% of the purchase price if the seller doesn't offer to pay my agent the fee, right? So right now, if you're a veteran using if you're using a VA loan, because you don't have to be a veteran to use a VA loan. So let's say you use a VA loan, then right now they cannot charge you a fee even though you signed a contract, because by federal law they cannot.
Mm,
August 10th comes around, you haven't bought your home or went under contract. Guess what? You signed a contract, 3%. Now you're paying that additional money. So yes, so that can happen. Do I foresee that this being like a widespread thing? I think it's tough because I think at first people are going to be really greedy and
mhm.
being like, oh, I'm not going to offer anything. And then when their house sits too long, they're going to start offering it. Or what can the ultimate part that would happen is it would shift from a seller's market to a buyer's market because of greed. Okay,
Yeah.
that could happen because the summer months are the hottest months of the year, both temperature wise and both people moving, because that's when kids are out of school, people are moving across the country, PCS season kicks off, right? So a lot happens. So this is kind of coming in next month, and then we're going to start seeing I think big effects during the winter time, especially. So if you're holding off on buying now, I would wait till the winter time because it's the worst time to buy. You get the best prices. We see people get the most credits for closing. Um, and then, yeah, you can't just roll the cost of that fee into the loan. So if you're buying a $300,000 house, it's worth $300,000. But let's say fees are $6,000. You can't ask the VA for a $306,000 loan if you're under contract for $300,000. So yeah, that is correct. Dwayne, this one is for you.
Okay. Okay. Been out. I read that earlier. 29 years. No, it doesn't hurt. But when you're out that long, when you get to that CMP exam, if you're entitled to one, then you have to explain to that examiner what have you been getting treatment. What type of treatment you've been getting for that particular condition. One thing and I'm pretty sure David, you can agree with this. In the military, we're trained indirectly not to go to sick call. Especially I hear Marines, they be like, oh, they call them sick call rangers or something like that. And so you just stop going. And people think that, oh, I'm no longer on active duty. Now I'm just going to start going to the doctor. You still have that mindset, right? And it
Unfortunately,
could,
yeah.
yeah. And now it's probably to the point where you're like, wait a minute. I need to get compensated for this. I need to start getting treatment at the VA because I'm getting older. These conditions are getting worse. We're getting older. We're starting to break down. So that's something that, I had to explain on one of my CMP exams because they were like, why didn't you get treatment? What? You got to go to formation and do all this other stuff. Your supervisor may be like, okay, don't do PT. Go get dressed in BDUs and, you and such take the truck down to the motor pool. They doing maintenance or something on it. You know what I mean? So you can't go to sick call.
I gotcha.
Yeah. Diane, I know he meant Dwayne. I saw it later. uh, Donkey Kong. So you should have been on a live stream as soon as you got that letter. In the notification letter, it tells you your options. One of those options are a RVS hearing. I have a video on my channel where I talk about RVSR hearings. I facilitated a lot of those. Now, you should have been proactive and talked to someone before you even filed a claim to understand how long has that percentage for that condition been in effect. If it's been in effect less than 5 years, and you go to a CMP exam and shows improvement, they will reduce you. But if it's been in effect more than 5 years, they need 2 exams to do a proposal to reduce. Guess what? I got a video on that as well. Okay. So a lot of times, in our membership, in my monthly membership, these are things that I'm educating people on. Okay. I'm not telling them what to do. I'm just saying, hey, here's a topic. And so if they ever run into that, they can go back to that video or that live stream that we did where we talked about it, and they can post questions before they even jump off into the VA claims process.
Dang. Dropping some nuggets there. And if
Yep.
you guys haven't, please make sure, if you're new to the channel, checking us out, make sure you guys hit the like and subscribe button to both of our channels. I'm going to drop both of our handles. So if you go on YouTube and search VA Housing Education, you'll see my channel, and Dwayne Kimball, same thing. You'll be able to see all the information that we provide. And we do these every month, going live, answering questions. We're always here to help you guys. So Dwayne, yeah, that's awesome. Thank you for that. Next one is a good one. Hold on. I got to
It
find
was
where we were.
FIG Jim. Yep, there it is.
Yeah, here we go. David, how do we go about navigating the property tax increase? Do we pay and get reimbursed? I think those are two separate things. You have property taxes increasing across the country. A lot of major cities do. And then if you pay property taxes and you're exempt from the paying property taxes, do you get a refund of that? So I'm going to tackle the first one. There's a couple things you need to understand about property taxes. I'm not an attorney in this subject, but I bought a house recently and they overestimated my property by like 100 grand, like more than 100 grand, right? From what I bought it for. So I'm looking online on the county site. I'm like, oh my gosh, this is going to be a process. I submitted stuff to the county. I hear nothing. And so then I go to my local township and I'm like, hey, Carl. I'm like, hi, I just moved to the neighborhood. Hey, I just bought a house. This is what it was. Like, why did they assess it this way? And he's like, listen, that's not a problem. Just bring us a tax form from closing, a copy of the listing, and fill this form out, and I'll just update your taxes just like that. And it just happened just like that. I was blown away. I could not believe it. Okay. Like, but that's because you have to see, like, if you buy a house within a year, most people don't check the assessor's office. We're always like, check it, see what the value is. If it works in your favor, shh. If it doesn't work in your favor, then you start making the noise about it. Okay. But then it drops. So then it drops the amount of taxes you pay significantly. Not only that, if you are teetering on not being able to get the veteran exemption because of that, that's something that you want to be able to tackle. The other way that you can do it, so like that's one, going to the county, but like I just learned it by just calling and going, right? Because like it was obviously important to me to be able to get this. The other times you go online and submit it, like I did it the first time, and that's just like a dark hole. He says it goes nowhere. That's what they said. And then the third one is hiring an attorney, but then you pay them like a fee for doing that. So
Yeah. Luckily,
keep
you
that
didn't
in
have to
mind.
go downtown. You lived in a township, because if you were in the city, oh yeah, I bet you would have had a different,
No, if I
total
was if
different
I was in
experience.
Chicago, they would just laugh at me, be like, "We don't work."
Yeah, no habla inglés, no habla español,
Yeah,
no
that's what's
habla
gonna
nothing.
happen. I know.
So I'm assuming that you're talking about if you're going to the Vet Fest. Can you go to get rated for already submitted claims? Again, I can't say there's these vet fests are all over the country. I can't say what they're doing in Phoenix, Wyoming, Montana. Call ahead. Now, if they are doing it, and let's say you submitted the claim, you've already had your CMP exams, they're back and they're sitting there, there's no other development, and they see it, if they are rating, if it's, obviously if you got 45 issues, that's going to take somebody a half a day to get through. Okay. Uh, but if they have enough people there and they be like, oh, yeah, I'll do it. I can get it done before we close today. You get there first thing when they open. They could, but I can't say yeah or nay because if I say yes and you go to a vet fest and they cancel it, you can be like, man, Dwayne told me they'll do it and they cancel the event. I don't track each and every event. Call ahead and say, hey, I filed a claim. I've already verified that the CMP exams are done, or you submitted a DBQ. And I want to know if there's going to be rating specialists on site and would they possibly be able to rate my case. If they say more than likely yes, you want to get there 30 minutes before they open, get in line so you be the first in line, not
30
showing up.
minutes, like 2 hours, like you're like
Yeah,
buying a Game Boy or something.
yeah, yeah, get one of those. Go to Lowe's, get one of those nice, purchase one of those nice lawn chairs, and
Yep.
when you get your claim rated, put it back in the bag and take it back, get your money back, and you're good.
Yeah, right when just they had their coffee, they're feeling good, you wanna be the first person to ruin their day.
Oh yeah, yeah, yeah. They're eager. Oh, I want to talk to some vets. You show up 30 minutes before they close. You're
They
looking
are
like
donezo. Just think about it yourself, like, do you want someone coming in ordering food if you're cooking, like, at 10 minutes before
yeah.
closing?
I do that at Publix. I do that at
I'm just
Publix.
saying
I'm
just
like,
because we do that doesn't mean that you should be doing that to the
right,
ratings.
right, right, right.
So, all
Yeah,
right, we got a lot of questions, so we'll probably do rapid fire. We got like 39
yeah.
minutes left, but
Oh
yeah, we
man.
got a lot of good questions. So make
All
sure you
right.
guys smash that like button so we can kind of get
Yeah.
the algorithm out there and help other veterans learn about what we're talking about. Because if you guys are with us, it's important.
Yeah. So if a DBQ is provided to the VA as a fully developed claim, I can still be accepted. Yeah. So understand just because you check that box as a FDC claim, it doesn't give you any other privileges. FDC is no longer priority. It used to be. I did a video on that explaining it. FDC just basically you telling the VA I have no other evidence to submit. That's all the FDC claim is. That's it. Hello, YouTube. Dwayne VA has been having QTC do multiple ACE, IMO, CMP exams for my GERD OSA claims 2 days before yesterday and two. I've heard this, and you got to understand they have contracts with the VA, and these are billion-dollar contracts, and they get paid per exam. So either there's a huge miscommunication somewhere, uh, you know, I don't know why they're doing these exams multiple times, but this is not the first time that I've heard they've been doing it. Good
Hi, Dad.
evening,
Thank you for
Desi.
joining us.
Desi Mello. Yeah.
Oh yeah. Somebody comment. I want to actually go back to this. Somebody, military Mike. I believe the day you get your 100% disability is the day you qualify for the home tax exemption. But what I want to touch on with that is that I made a video recently about when can you actually get a refund of the VA funding fee. Okay, this one is important. That's why anytime I've talked with veterans that are looking to buy a home in the near future or even a year or 2 years out, and you haven't started the disability process or you're in the middle of buying a home, file your intent. Okay, because that's when once normally what happens is once you go through a disability process and it takes 2 or 3 years, if they backdate the claim before you bought the house, even though it's 3 years later, you can still get a refund of that VA funding fee back to you. It is very important that you do that. Even if the minimum rating you need is 10% in order to get the VA funding fee refunded. So let's say you're closing next week, file your intent now. then go whatever process you go through, takes a year or two, you get it, again, submit it to the lender and the VA, and then they give you a refund of that. It is something that is phenomenal.
Yeah.
This one is, what type of HELOC loan should I be asking for from loan companies? So a HELOC is a home equity line of credit. That's when you own a property, you have equity in it, and you're basically taking out another mortgage on that property between what you currently owe and some number that's out there, depending on whatever credit profile that you have and the bank you're working with. They're going to give you a certain dollar amount, and it's like a in a way, right? If they give you $100,000 line of credit for a home equity line of credit, then you don't have to use the whole 100,000. You can take out no money and just have that money in reserve, which I always recommend people do, right? That's my personal opinion, because when you need money the most, you will not have access to it. I promise you, or it'll be hard to access it.
Right.
That's why it's better to have that line of credit in the background. And then if you need it, you can go for it. HELOCs are adjustable rate, typically 30-year mortgages. First 10 years are interest only. And then after the 10 years, they re-amortize to a 20-year mortgage. Your payment's going to jump up a lot. And the rate fluctuates every month. So they are a little bit risky to use. So just be really careful with those. There's a HE loan, which is a fixed second mortgage. So if you're like, hey, I'm adding an addition to the house, it costs me $50,000, then you just get a fixed loan for $50,000. Typically better like terms that you would say than like a HELOC. But a HE loan is a fixed period of time, so you know what your payments are going to be every month. But that's a great question. Highly encourage people to get those.
I filed for high blood pressure. Okay, so the question is, did you get a CMP exam? If you had a CMP exam, did you get a copy of the CMP exam? If so, what was the rationale for the negative opinion? Now, if you have a high blood pressure reading in service, the examiner could have said, you got to figure out why the examiner said no. So you can use that as a link, but now you can do a supplemental, but you need new and relevant evidence when you do that. Okay. But you got to find out why the doctor said no if you had a CMP exam. What protection you get from rating schedule changes? I was rated 100%. Yep. So again, I think there's a lot of YouTube videos out there putting fear in the veterans about any changes. So you're already grandfathered in. You're grandfathered in, and I actually did a video where I talked about if you come back in for that same condition and increase, what the VA can do and what they won't do. Will they rate it under the old? Will they rate it under the new? And actually, the way it's set up is going to benefit you. Okay, so you're already protected. So if you're 100%, you're good. Especially if you're not coming back in for an increase, they're not going to go through all veterans claims and say, hey, we changed this diagnostic code criteria. We got to go back and look at every single veteran to see if they still meet that criteria. How would they know that? Because you could be getting private treatment and not go to the VA.
Right, 100%. Well, we got a new person to the channel. Phil,
Well,
welcome.
welcome. Yeah. Thank you. Thank you for the support. And y'all make sure you get in that membership group because I'm breaking things down for you in the live streams that we do. We do them twice a month. And then I have about 36 short videos. I got a resource link. You can post questions. And I haven't done it this month. I need to do it. I'm taking videos from a YouTube channel, the ones that I think that has the most nuggets, and putting them in there so people can follow. Okay. Even though they're on YouTube. And a lot of my videos, and I don't know if yours are like this, David, just look at the video. If that video has under 5,000 views, more than likely it's filled with nuggets. It's boring, but it's information you need to know.
Yeah. This stuff isn't necessarily like super exciting, like buying a computer or getting a new iPhone or something, right?
Yep.
This is stuff that you need to know because if you don't set yourself up for success, and I talk to a lot of people that ask me because they were on the channel and they're like, hey, I saw you guys did a video, but I don't know if I should file. Talk to somebody, file. Right? You're not
Right.
taking benefits away from other veterans. But educating yourself is the key because if you go in not knowing what you're doing, you kind of it's not good.
Yeah. So, okay, I was intending to look at this and Google it. I don't know what that condition is. Pancreatic, is that like pancreatic cancer? But so there is information out there and it's on my channel. So you figure it out what it is, right? So I'm looking it up right quick to see what it is. And where does it fall? Okay, so a condition that occurs when the pancreas doesn't produce enough digestive enzymes for the small intestine to fully digest food. Okay, so I don't, okay, a condition which your small intestine can't digest food completely. Okay, all right. So there is, underdog, a lot of information out there. And I got it on my channel and I talk about it in my book. Where does that fall under the 5 ways of service connection? I talk about in the book. If you go to my channel, like David said earlier, you do a search, 5 ways of service connection. You have to place that. Is it pre-service aggravation? Is it direct? Obviously, it's not increased because you're not service connected. Is it secondary to a service connected condition? Or could it fall under a presumptive? Now, I did a recent video where I talk about claims under terror due to military occupational exposure of chemicals, vibration, radiation, solvents. It could fall underneath there. Where does it fall under the 5 ways of service connection? I got a lot of information on that, underdog. So that's how you confirm that. I was approved for anxiety, migraines, hypertension, but they only gave me 30% for mental health. Can I still see? No, it wouldn't. You can do a high level review, but what are you arguing on a high level review? What evidence in your folder states that you should be at 50, 70, 100% for the mental health? Hey, getting service connected, even at 0, is not a bad thing. You could do a simple increase. But before you do that increase, what is the criteria for the 50 and 70% for the mental? And do you meet it? Boom, rapid fire. Pow, 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 like
Boom. We're
Kevin
gonna have to
Hart
start
say.
rolling. We got like 8 minutes left. Thank you for all the nuggets.
Oh,
We're gonna start
yeah.
going and answer these
Those
quick.
nuggets. Yeah. Well, that's from ex-wife and family members help to show. Yeah. If you have if you ex actually Chauncey gave me the name. Yep, that's it. I recognize him. Yep. I got a video.
Love it.
Yep, you can use
Can you
that.
explain points? Someone answered it, but there's a lot deeper than that. If you pay points, it can lower the interest rate, but not every lender has the same margins. So sometimes you can get an interest rate with no points with one lender and same rate with another lender and pay points. So that's why you want to be able to shop around and check out who's got the best deal.
Yep, you can get service connected other than honorable. And a COD, character of discharge, should not have to be used. And yes, you know it. Go to my channel, type in COD, 7% mental, just for 7% mental health. Will I need to attend a CMP exam, or will they more than likely do? Uh, oh, I got a video on this. When the VA is not supposed to do an ACE exam, and one of those is mental. They can't do a mental on an ACE exam. If the examiner does, guess what you're doing on the high level review? I need to go to that exam.
Next person, nice 2.5% rate and just over 300,000 or just shy of 300,000 in equity. Congratulations. That's awesome. This is a good question. I applied for a housing voucher years ago, but never used it. Can I apply for a new one to see if I can get higher amounts? Yeah, there shouldn't be a reason why you wouldn't be able to do that.
There's no set time frame. No set time frame.
Right.
Got a decision high level review and never got an informal conference call. 800 supervisor put in service request. Was told to wait 30 business days. Ooh, call the VA White House hotline. I did a video on that where some veterans were requesting informal conferences and they were not getting them. They were just blowing right through it and denying the claim.
This one is shady, Robert. There's no way if your realtor told you if I get money back from the VA that I need to give it to him. No, you would give it to Dwayne and
Ooh,
I. We would
yeah.
hit the casino at the Bahamas. That's the way it would work. But just all jokes aside, absolutely no, you would not give that money. Schedule a call with me down below in the description. I want to talk to you. I want to see what they're talking about because 100% you should not be doing that. I want to get to the bottom of that.
Wow.
Yeah, I've
Yep,
never heard of
they
that's
can do that.
crazy.
Yep, former examiners, they're former, yeah, because they got the training, they already know. It's a lucrative market, but people talk about, um, um, VA claims consulting companies or claim sharks, look at them, they get the training, they go out, and guess what? They're charging probably about 3 or 4 grand for it.
Mm.
People will pay it.
The VA does have not. I don't know if the VA, but they have like a HUD Vash type of voucher that they help for placing homeless veterans. So there's different grants out there. So I would contact your local, local VA hospital. They have outreach programs for that. Thank you for
Yep.
attending.
Okay, so this is a 3-part question. I've been trying to read it. I didn't get ready today. However, he reviewed my CUE supplemental claim, but said it was solid. I use M21 said references. Said I should work for VA. So he's saying I'm looking at that's first part. I'm looking at the third part where he said should work with VA. So yeah, Mr. Green, that's important. You got a lot of veterans do not want to dig in this M21 manual reference. They don't want to dig into the 38 CFR. And I'm giving them this information when I'm sharing slides. And they just, oh, I'll let my lawyer do it. And then you get to the CMP exam, you go to one of these vet fests, and you don't know what the lawyer you don't understand what your lawyer put on the paperwork. And you get stuck like Chuck. So good job, Mr. Green.
Every county is going to be different for what they actually township, county, and state, depending on how they're structured, are going to be different. You just need to go to your county assessor's office, and they'll be able to tell you what the paperwork you need. Just submit it right away. Closing very soon. Do you think they are crawfishing until after that date? I'm not really sure. Oh, you're talking about like after that August 10th date, like realtors are strategically waiting so they can make more if they're not going to be paid from the seller. I don't know, but I think there's definitely some steering going around with this new lawsuit. Couldn't you just start? I'm not sure what that means. Next one. So does this mean go through for sale by owner? That's an interesting one because there's definitely a lot that goes into real estate, and there's not as much information for consumers that are out there to do it on their own. But that definitely is a way to be able to mitigate paying some additional fees.
Okay, sick bay
Good.
commandos. Yeah, that's yeah.
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah. Army Rangers that were pressured to never go to sick call. Yeah, I can see that.
Yeah.
Biggest Marines unit.
The unit.
What do we got here?
Yeah. Hey. Yep. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Oh
I got a
yeah.
video
Yeah.
for that.
Just watch the 12-hour video that we did. It
Oh
was like
man, that
probably
was
over 100 times that we mentioned that. But that's why we do these because remind people that we still have the other videos.
okay. So I'm a veteran rated at 120%. 120% is not that's your math. You're probably around 90 something for VA math. Well, you are if you're at 80%. Upper level review. Can I file another claim for increase? You can file a claim when you have something on appeal. You cannot go back and do anything because you have VSC, Veteran Service Center, and then you have DROC, which handles high level review. VSC cannot take jurisdiction of a claim that is under DROC. Boom. Now, if his PTSD is on appeal, you want to file a claim for tinnitus with VSC, go right ahead.
All right, next one. Always file your intent. It can never hurt. So, if you file it and you don't do anything, do you get a slap on the wrist, or can you just keep refiling it after a year and 1 day? Oh, for years.
Yeah. Dave,
Good.
ask somebody how many likes we got. We got a minute left.
Yeah, how many likes
How
we
many
got?
likes
You
we
guys can
got?
put that on there.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's somebody for you, Dwayne.
Yeah. Thanks for all your help and videos. There's an empty spot on the wall behind you. that looks like a good spot for 100K. Hey, I'm trying. I'm trying. I'm trying to get there. I'm trying, John. I'm trying. I appreciate it. I appreciate it. I'm trying to get there. Yeah. Yeah,
I
right
know. I
above.
can't
Hey,
wait
right
for
above
that.
my claims file. Right above my claims file.
That's
Yeah,
awesome. Oh yeah,
appreciate
someone
it.
said educational, so thank you for that. Question here. Is it illegal if I get a loan, use that to pay off the same loan within 30 days? I'm not really sure what that means. If you VA loans don't have a prepayment penalty, so if you get a loan and pay off the mortgage, you can do that. So that's not a problem at all.
Yeah.
How many times can you use a loan? It's unlimited times. In fact, you can have unlimited VA loans at the same time. Now, at some point, you're going to exhaust your disability and you're going to have to put a down payment. But there's ways that if you use the down payment of 25%, you actually don't use, you have a VA loan, but you use none of your entitlement. So I probably want to do a video on that. But yeah, it's actually, it's pretty awesome.
Okay, you lost me on that. Okay, there we go. Two right
I mean,
broken
I was talking
fingers.
with
19.
somebody else. I think that's what they were.
Yeah.
Oh, they were having a
Okay.
conversation with each other. Yeah.
Okay.
Link 12-hour video. If you guys have got downtime, please
Do a search. Just go to our
do a search.
channel
You'll see
and
it.
type in 12 hours,
It's
and
the
that video will
longest
come up.
video that we have by an extreme amount of time. Which
Yes.
reminds me, Dwayne, we're supposed to be doing, I think, a 4-hour, right?
Yeah.
4-hour video. Yeah,
Yeah.
we gotta plan that out. Maybe for the fall when there's more people at home, not enjoying beautiful weather outside.
Right. Maybe for everybody up north, they stuck in the house, snow and stuff, don't have anything else to do.
That's right. But listen
Yeah.
to us. That's a
Yeah.
great thing. We just got a couple
So,
more and then we'll wrap up.
okay, I've been trying to kid my twin sons on my compensation at 70% what they need. You got to be at 30% to add dependents to your award. So if you're
Right.
at 70%, you just go to va.gov and there should be a link that says add dependent. Veteran Army 80%. Appreciate you guys. Education is the key. Got book. Thanks for the support to the book. Thanks for all
Oh
the
yeah.
nuggets. Yep, I use those nuggets in that video. I'm like, you didn't catch that. That was a nugget. Hey, I got a video on that.
Oh yeah. Well, good. That wraps up our questions. We're basically on point. So thank you everyone for joining us. Don't worry, we're gonna be back soon next year. Eddie's. And we'll let you guys know when we do the 4-hour event. And I think we're gonna ask people to come on the show and ask their questions. You don't have to go on video, but you'll kind of be able, it's almost like a talk show. We'll walk through what's going on with you. You got VA loan questions, you have VA compensation, or combination of both, like a lot of people did last time. So again, thank you for spending your afternoon with us. Greatly appreciate it from my end. And Dwayne, you want to give us your closing thoughts?
Yeah, just thanks to everybody for showing up. Don't forget, putting the link for the membership in the event next month. The webinar, we did it. I did it last year. We had about 532 people that signed up. Did it back in April, and we're doing it again next month. It's going to be over 2 days opposed to 4 days. And it's time for you to get educated. Stop taking a circle and trying to put it in a square. A square. Stop trying to take a square and put it in a circle. It will not fit. Okay. You have to get educated on this. No ifs, ands, buts about it. Do not rely on a VSO or lawyer. I don't care how long they've been doing it, because guess what? None of those individuals are going to be in that CMP exam when you're in that office by yourself. Thank you.
100%. Well, thanks again, everyone. Have a great evening and stay tuned for more content to come out soon.